Hi, Danny Quinto here in my library in the beautiful city of Baguio. Now, for this episode, let me focus on one food item that if we have control over it, then definitely it will have a big impact on us not even getting all sorts of cancers. Now, cancer is basically a multi-dimensional disease. And so there should be several approaches in preventing and even inhibiting it. Now, there is one food item that through researchers they found out that if we can really control it, then cancers will not grow. Now, some time ago, Dr. Lauren Cordain decided to test the insulin levels and IGF levels of people who were basically eating like our great ancestors were eating thousands of years ago. So she traveled together with her team to the Kitavan Islands in New Guinea. And they tested around 1,200 young people. And after that, they also tested the Ake Indians in the deep jungles of Paraguay. And you know the result? Well, they found out that there was no inflammation because of the food that they were eating. And so they even found out that people there did not have any acne. And it was because they were still eating the same kinds of food, vegetables, and fruits naturally grown that our ancestors were eating a long, long time ago. And so, what is now the reason why we have a lot of cancer spreading everywhere? Well, let me tell you why. In the second half of the 20th century, a new food item was introduced into us. We call it the high fructose syrup. This was made from corn, meaning it's made of fructose plus glucose. Now, a problem with it is the high fructose syrup is not natural. It cannot be handled properly by the insulin in our body. And so, the result of that is it becomes quite toxic. High fructose sugar is simply simple carbohydrates that have been processed, and so cannot be handled by our body. What it does is it even shoots up our glycemic levels. Now, what is a glycemic level? Well, simply it's a measure of what a food does in your blood. And so it starts from 0 to 100, and when they measure it, if it's 55 and below, you have low glycemic index, meaning most of the food that you're probably eating are quite natural, the carbohydrates I mean. But if it's above 55, there's a great possibility that the food that you are eating is composed of simple carbohydrates or basically processed food. Now, there have been many studies on glycemic levels through the years, and one was conducted by the Harvard Medical School and the University of California in San Francisco. And they decided to test women under 50 years old. And what they found out, those with high glycemic levels, was they found 7 times more prevalence in acquiring breast cancer for those women, high glycemic levels. And also for men that were under 50, they found out that high glycemic levels indicated that they were 9 times more prevalent or risk in acquiring prostate cancer. And so there were also additional studies that were done on high glycemic levels. And they've all found out the conclusion that it also led to the prevalence of colon cancer, of pancreatic cancer, and even of ovarian cancer. Actually, in the year 2009, the Women's Health Initiative decided to track 100,000 women. Can you imagine 100,000 women? And through the years, through 6 years, so what they did at the start with these women was they took samples of their blood, And after 6 years, they took another sample of their blood. And what they found out, what those women who had high glycemic indexes, they were 2 times more at risk of developing breast cancer. Now, I just mentioned a while ago that high glycemic levels come from processed carbohydrates. These are food basically converted into sugar, so much so they spike, they're processed very fast in our body, in our blood, and so it causes a spike in the release of insulin levels, wherein those are indications of risks of getting all kinds of diseases, including cancer. So what do? Very simple. It is just to reduce the amount of processed food that we eat. Processed carbohydrates, which turn into simple sugars. If we can do that, definitely we can prevent a lot of cancers occurring into us. Okay? Good lesson. Now, let me end this episode by sharing with you a quotation from Dr. David Schreiber. And I brought it down here. He is a famous PhD, and he has been researching on cancer for many, many years. And this is his quotation. He said, and I quote, "acting in parallel with conventional medical approaches," talking of chemotherapy and radiotherapy, we can enhance our body's systems with exercise, with emotional balance, and with nutrition to live more balanced, healthier, and more beautiful lives. Now, that's a wonderful quotation. And I hope you like this video. And if you do, well, please share it with your friends. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please subscribe into it. Give some comments there. And for the next episode, let me share with you some specific food items, processed food that we need to avoid, and what are the kinds of food that we should be consuming more and focusing more on, of course, carbohydrates. So this is your wellness friend, Danny Quinto, from the beautiful city of Baguio, saying, stay safe, stay out of processed food, and stay healthy. I'll see you.